Okay, number 17, we're going to simplify some expressions. Simplifying means basically just condensing them down. And so on number 17, I see that I've got some x's on the left side here that I need to combine. I need to put them together. And same thing with some constants, some numbers that don't have x involved. So I'm going to put the 3x and the minus 5x together. 3 minus 5 is negative 2, so that would be negative 2x. And I've got a 4 and a negative 22. So 4 minus 22 is negative 18. So I've got negative 2x minus 18 here on the left equals 2x minus 15. Now, again, I want to go ahead and combine these x's. They're on different sides, so I need to move one x to the other side. I'm going to move this over by adding. It's subtracted, so the opposite would be adding. It comes over here. Negative 18 equals 4x minus 15. I'm going to add that 15 over to the other side. And then I'm going to divide by 4. X equals negative 3/4. Okay. Same thing on 18. I've got a lot of distributing to do here. Anytime you see that number outside a set of parentheses, you want to go ahead and distribute it first. Might as well get that out of the way. So I'm going to distribute all three. 4 times t and 4 times negative 5. That would be 4t minus 20. Now here, make sure you realize that you're distributing a negative 3. Negative stays with it. And so negative 3 times 5t, that would be negative 15t. And negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Equal sign. Again, negative 6 is being distributed. Negative 6 times 1/2. Half of 6 is 3, so negative 3t. And then negative 6 times negative 2/3. Two negatives will make a positive. 6 times 2/3 is 4. Okay, now from here, I've got stuff on the left again, so 4t minus 15t, that would be minus 11t. Negative 20 and negative 6 would be negative 26. From here, I want to combine and get all the x's, or all the t's in this case, on one side, all the numbers, all the constants on the other. So plus 3t. And then add the 26 to the right side. And then from here, divide by negative 8. Now that can reduce. They're both even, so I know I can definitely take a 2 out. So 15 over negative 4 if I divide both parts by 2. Or you can write it, if you'd rather write it, negative out in front, negative 15 over 4, either way. Okay, 19. I've got a whole lot to do again here, so let me start by distributing. Anytime you see something that can distribute, go ahead and do that first. So remember, it's order of operations. Negative 3x multiplied by both of those. Just to keep things organized, I'm going to bring all this down. And then I'm going to start distributing. Organization is a big thing in stuff like this, because if you get disorganized, you might do each step right, but just forget something or lose something, and it's going to mess you up. So stay organized. Do one thing at a time. Here I'm going to distribute negative 3x times x. It's negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times 2x squared, that would be negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. X and x squared would be x to the third minus 7x to the third. Alright, now I'm going to start grouping things together. So I see that I've got, and I'm going to go in order. So I have 5x to the fourth. That's the only x to the fourth I have. I see x to the thirds twice here, so minus 6 and minus 7, minus 13 x to the third. I see 2x squareds here, so minus 4 and minus 3 would be minus 7 x squareds, and a plus 2x at the end. It's in order, and I've got one of each term now because I've combined them. Okay, 20. 20 looks crazy. It's not really too bad. Again, distribute before you do anything else. So I'm going to distribute this to both of those. and that's a negative j to the third distributing to both of those. All right, so again, bring these down so I don't forget them. Distribute here. 6 times 4 is 24. I've got m squared and another m, that would be m to the third, and there's a j tagging along. Plus 6 times 3 is 18. M squared and m would be m to the third, and I've got j squared tagging along on that one. All right, distribute the second part. Negative j to the third times these, well, negative and a 2, that'd be negative 2. I have an m, and I have j3, j2, that's j to the fifth. And then negative and a negative will turn to positive 5. J to the third, m4j. So I've got m to the fourth, and j, 3 and 1 is another j to the fourth. Okay, now from here, if I combine like terms, I'm combining terms that have the exact same variables. That means they have to have the same m's and j's. So I'm looking for anything they have in common, and I see 2 of them that have m3j2. So I'm going to put 3 and 18 together. That's 21 m to the third j squared. I see an m to the third j to the first. I only see one of those. I see mj to the fifth. I see 2 mj to the fifths. So minus 4 minus 2 would be minus 6. And I see just a m4j4 at the end there, so I'll put that one at the end. Okay, 21, we are distributing again. Now, only this time we're distributing 2 things to the other side. So when you distribute multiple things, start with the first one, 2x, and I'll distribute it to both parts of the other side. 2x times negative 1/2 x would be negative 1x squared, and 2x times 5 would be 10x. Then you distribute the other one, the negative 4, to both parts as well. Negative 4 times negative 1/2, that's positive 2x, and negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. If there's anything that's a like term, you combine them, so I see x's here and here. So negative x squared, 10 and 2 is 12. There you go. And 22, same idea. 5x distributed to both parts. 5x times negative 2x, that would be negative 10. X and x is x squared. And then 5x times 7y, 5 and 7 is 35. Now x and y, you just keep them xy. Just like above, we had m and j together, so just keep it 35xy. Distribute the other part. Negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6. And you've got a y and an x, so xy again. And then negative 3y times 7y, that'd be negative 21, and then y would be y squared. Okay, again, look for anything with the same terms. I've got x and y on both of these. So negative 10x squared, 35 plus 6 is 41, xy, minus 21y squared. All right, 23. 23, we're solving for w. That means that we're going to manipulate the formula to where w is the one that's by itself instead of a. So to do that, what needs to move? Well, the h is by the w, so we're going to divide it. It's going to scoot over, and you've got w equals a divided by h. Pretty simple. Same idea on 24. On 24, a equals pi r squared. We're solving for r now. So what has to move here first? Well, I'll divide by that pi. So a divided by pi equals r squared. And then how do you get rid of a squared? Well, square root, right? So the opposite of a square is a square root. Both sides. R equals the square root of a over pi. Okay, 25, same thing. Getting r. So volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. We're going to get r by itself, so I need to move that fraction first. Easiest way to move a fraction is to multiply by the reciprocal. 3 and 3 cancel, 4 and 4 will cancel. Multiply both sides by that. Now, instead of writing 3/4 v, I'm just going to put that v up here and kind of make that all one expression, or one fraction there. So 3/4 v, or 3v over 4, equals pi r cubed. Get rid of the pi. Now you're dividing, we've already got a divide sign, so it's just going to join the 4 on the bottom. When you divide and you're already dividing by something else, just put it there with it. And divide them both. Alright, so I've got 3v over 4 pi equals r to the third. Well, we just got rid of a squared by square root, so we're going to get rid of a cube by a cube root. And it's the same symbol. You just put a 3 there. So your answer is the cubed root of 3v over 4 pi equals r. Alright, 26, solving for P1. Well, P1 is here, so I can't really move the P2 yet because it's in these parentheses, so I'm going to divide by 0.05. So P divided by 0.05 equals P2 minus P1. Now, I need to get P1 by itself, but it's negative and I really don't want to mess with that, so I'm just going to add it to the other side, because I would like to make it positive, and then that'll make it just a little bit quicker here when I move this over to the other side. P1 equals P2 minus, I'm going to subtract this to the other side. Okay, whole goal is just to get P1 by itself using your basic algebra, using your distribution, using dividing when you're multiplying, adding when you're subtracting, etc. Okay, 27. F equals 9/5 c minus 32. C is what we're solving for, and again, I've got this fraction here that needs to go ahead and move before I can handle this stuff in the parentheses. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. That's the easiest way to do it. Those will cancel. So 5f over 9, or 5/9 f, either way, equals c minus 32. And then I need to add 32 to the other side to get c by itself. Okay, 28, solve for t. T's on the bottom. I don't like that. The first thing I'm going to do is multiply both sides by t. At least it's on the top now. Okay, and then I still need to get it by itself, so I'm going to divide by r. If you'll notice, basically what happened is it switched places with r, because you multiplied one and divided the other, so they kind of swapped. But there's your answer. Okay, now factoring. Factoring is a specific method to get zeros. You could graph this, and you could look for where it crosses the x-axis. That's what we're actually doing. Those are the zeros. You could do the quadratic formula, but the instructions specifically say factor, so that's a specific way to get those zeros, to get those solutions. And how you do it is you take the factors of technically the first and the last number together, but the first number is 1, so it doesn't really affect it. So factors of 25 that will add up to -10, the middle number. So what factors of 25 will add up to that middle number of -10? And you figure out that 5 and 5 will add up to 10, but that's positive, so -5 and -5 will be -10, and -5 times -5 will be +25. So those are your numbers. The good thing is that's really all you have to do. The n will break apart. One of them will be -5, and since the other one is as well, both of those are -5. And by the way, you could write it like this. If you have two of the same thing, it basically means squared, so either way works. Alright, 30. Same idea, factors of -30 that have to add up to 1. Well, I know that 6 times 5 is 30. Now it needs to be -30, and I have to add up to +1. So if then 5 is negative, 6 minus 5 is 1. And it'll multiply to -30. So those are my numbers. and again, split the n up. One of them gets a positive 6, the other one gets a minus 5. Okay, 31, same idea, but you'll notice that they actually all have something in common right away. If there's ever a time where all three things have something in common immediately, don't even bother trying to factor until you've simplified it as far as you can initially. So they all have an n, so why not get rid of that and make it easier before we even start? So that would drop that to n squared minus 8n minus 20. Always take out what you can when you can. And then with what we have left, let's factor again. Factors of negative 20 that add up to negative 8. Those would be, how about 10 times 2 is 20, and negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8. So we find out what works, and split those ends up, n minus 10 and n plus 2. All right, 32. Same thing. If you see something they all have in common, it is best to get rid of it because it's going to make your life a lot easier. Both of these have a 4 in them, obviously, and I'll bet you this is divisible by 4 as well. If you're not sure, just check. Is 224 divisible by 4? Yeah, it's 56. So I'm going to pull out a 4. Leaves me k squared minus k minus, that was 56 if we divided by 4. So the 4 goes away, factor the rest of it. Negative 56 that adds up to negative 1. I know that 8 times 7 is 56, so negative 8 times 7 would be negative 56, and negative 8 plus 7 is negative 1. So split that k up with a k minus 8 and a k plus 7. (33). Only have two terms here, so I can't really factor like I've been factoring anyway, so your best bet is just to see, do they have anything in common? If they do, take it out, and you're probably good to go. 2 and a 20 have a 2 in common. N to the third, n squared, I can take out an n squared, and that'll leave me with 2 divided by 2 is 1, n to the third, take away 2 of them, I only have 1 n left. Don't write 1 n, just write n. Plus, 20 divided by 2 is 10, n squared, took both of them away, just 10. Since there's only two terms, there's nothing else you can do but pull something out. 34. Again, I want to take out as much as I can. I wonder if these are divisible by 35. That would be convenient. Let me see. And it's not. So I do know that they're all divisible by 5 because they're all even, or they're all 5s and 10s at the end. So I'm just going to divide a 5 out. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 205 divided by 5 is 41. Plus 150 divided by 5, type that in, I get 30. Okay, so from here, I pulled out what I can. I need to just factor the rest of it. Now here's where things change. If we finally have one where there's still a number in front that's not 1, and it's going to affect the way we have to factor. It makes it a little bit harder. I do a method called grouping. If you skip to the next video, number 37, Ms. Lahosky is going to show you how to do the bottoms-up method. Same thing, just a different way of doing it. Find whatever's easiest for you, do it that way. But what I do is I multiply that number by the last number. So you can't just put factors of 30 that add up to 41 anymore. If there's a number in front, it affects that. So we say factors of 30 times 7. That would be 210 that add up to 41. Now that brings up another problem is I bet you probably don't know all the factors of 210 off the top of your head. So the easiest way to get all the factors of a number that you're not sure of is to go to y equals and type in the number divided by x that you want to find the factors of. And if you'll go to your table, it's actually very convenient. It gives you a list of all the factors. 1 and 210, 2 and 105, 3 and 70, 4 and a decimal, so this one doesn't work, 5 and 42, so on. You're looking for something that adds up to 41. And if you'll notice right here, 6 and 35 adds up to 41. So 6 times 35 is 210. You can verify that if you want to. And if you add them up, they equal 41. So here's where, I mean, it's already separated a little bit from the way we've been doing it before. It's a little longer process. You can't just write r plus 6 and r plus 35. Okay, because again, that number in front is messing all that up for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to circle the 5 so we don't forget it at the very end when we write our answer. And we're going to just focus here, and we're going to break that 41 apart into a 6 and a 35. So plus 6r plus 35r. We're breaking that 41 apart into the 6 and the 35 that we had there. Now we're going to look at each half of this separately. What can I take out of this half? Well, they both have an r in common, and that's it. So 7r plus 6. What can I take out of this half? 35 and 30 have a 5 in common. Positive 5. And that would leave me with 35 divided by 5 is 7. 30 divided by 5 is 6. You will notice that both parentheses are the same. That means that we've done it right. So 7r plus 6 is an answer. R plus 5 is the other answer. And then don't forget that 5 that we circled so that we wouldn't lose it. And we add it here because we pulled that out at the beginning. A little bit longer. But when you have a number in front of r squared or x squared that doesn't go away, then you've got to do this longer method. All right, 35. Again, if there's anything you can take out, that's great. Unfortunately, the only thing we can take out is an x. Better than nothing. And again, I'm going to factor the side here, so I'm going to circle this so I don't forget it. Now again, there's a number in front of x squared, so it's going to have to combine with that 4. You can't just do 4 adding up to 11. You have to do 7 times 4, which is 28. Has to add up to 11. So how about 7 and 4? That's 28. So again, replace the 11 in the middle with a 7 and a 4. Group them together. So that's called a grouping method. What can you take out of the first part? 7 and an x. Now if you take the 7 away and one of the x's, all you have is an x plus, if you take everything away, don't ever put 0. Technically, what is 7 divided by 7? 7 divided by 7 is 1, right? So don't put a 0 just because it's, quote, all gone. It's not technically all gone. It's just divided by leaving you with 1. Same thing here. You've got a 4 in common. Take the 4 out. Leaves you with x plus 4 divided by 4. It's not gone, it's 1. So we've got a 7x plus 4 outside and an x plus 1 inside. Don't forget that x you circled that you took out at the very beginning. Last one on this video, 36. They don't have a 2 in common because the 17 is odd, so it almost worked, but we can't divide by anything, so we just have to factor. 2 times 36 is 72. Has to add up to negative 17. How about 8 times 9? 9 times 8 is 72. But I need negative, so negative 9 and negative 8 would be negative 17. So 2v squared minus 9v minus 8v plus 36. I'm replacing that middle number with the 9 and the 8, the negative 9 and the negative 8. All right, and then grouping. So we group them together. Takes practice. You're not going to be good at this by doing it 1 or 2 times. You've got to do it several times before you remember kind of how it works and you're able to do it each time. The first pair doesn't really have anything in common other than a v, so 2v minus 9. The second pair does have something in common. They both have a 2 in common, but if you notice, they actually both also have a 4 in common. So take out the biggest thing you can. And since the first one is negative and I don't like that, I'm going to take out a negative 4. That's going to make it a positive 2. And if you take a negative away, that's going to turn that positive into a negative. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And if you'll notice, the reason why I had to take out a 4 and I had to take out a negative is because now my 2v minus 9 over here looks like my 2v minus 9 over here. They have to match, so pull out what it takes to make them match. And then your answer is v minus 4, 2v minus 9.